Okay, so now getting into editing, how was the Calanthek edited? So almost everything I've told you, there's only been a couple of times we've actually been out of Unreal, and there for editing, it was all done in Premiere. So Adobe Premiere is it's my editing program of choice. Everybody has their own what they prefer, but I just feel like I have a lot of control here, and I'll go through the process of how I did this. But you can edit in Unreal in the sequencer. Now, how you do that is basically you would create a master sequence for the most part. So by creating a master, kind of name it, like, say, let's call it whatever. Whatever. Yeah, sure. I'll put it there. Now it creates this master sequence, and these are all clips. So in this area where it's been created, it's actually it's by default creating several clips just to work with. Now we're just going to blow those away, and what we end up doing is taking our and bring that in. That's our shot from that we just looked at, which is this shot, which is kind of cool. So I just dragged and dropped this shot into it so I could place it into the timeline. Now let's just say we want to put another shot in here. Now this is the reason I did not use the sequencer and the master sequencer for editing, the Calanthek, and I do use it for parts, as I'm doing it, just experimenting, so I don't have to render it out, and then so it's helpful for that. But the problem is that when you have this many levels, which are this is also called maps, but they're actually the levels of all these different locations, different places, in the entire thing. Those are connected to these different sequencers. So how this works is that you basically have a map open. So this particular map and level is it's this one. So it's this. So this is, and you can see it up here. It always tells you what it is at the top, which our level is. And then down here is our new whatever master. So your sequencer, this will tell you what the sequencer name is. This will tell you what the level is. So these are connected. So with this, so to make this work really is that efficiently is that you would want to have one level for the most part. You could break it up. I mean, in different ways. There's ways. It's just it becomes more complicated. All right. So how you would actually add, like, say, another. Let's go back to our sequence folder here, which is like I broke it up into maps, which are also levels, and the sequence, which are my shots, and they're all in here. And I know it's what, and I also have a list that breaks this down. But this is also connected to this particular level. So I could theoretically drag this in, and now I have that shot. So I have two shots now in here. And so you can continue doing this in your edit for all your shots. It's having to load it, so that's what it's taking a while. And it actually may crash, because this is the other reason I didn't use it, because it does doing this with a lot of shots that have a lot of complexity to them will tend to crash the sequencer. So if that does happen, we're going to abandon this and just move on to the way I did it. But you can learn more about this online. I think that there's a lot of components that I've talked about, so this isn't moving at all. But this is how you would. You could set it up, clip it, you can cut it. You have tools here for all that stuff. Rearrange it, and it's pretty cool. It's a great way to see stuff inside Engine while you're working on your different sequencers to see how the cut may work, so you don't have to render it out. So what I end up doing is I use the render queue over here. You see the render queue. I render out each sequence each sequence that I'm going to create, and I bring that into as images. I bring that into we're just going to go right to it into Premiere. And so these each of these clips here, which I have different bins. This is all the different clips. There's also dates on it as I was moving forward at different times. As I was progressing, it was to keep, because there was so many shots. So each shot here is like this is how I lay out each sequence, and I can put the sound effects and everything in here, and I can hear it. It'll help me understand what. Oh, there it goes. See, it did crash. So I'm not trying to say anything negative towards the sequencer, because I love the sequencer, and editing in it can be great for certain things. But for me, when I'm editing stuff, I'm so used to it this way. So this is the one place where right now I leave ship and jump onto another ship and do this part. Cool. So, all right. So the thinking, with this, you can see, like we just talked about this in the previous section, is how we decided to like simplify the shot. Like we basically have our title and our ship, in the same kind of quick clip, so you can see our little ship, and then we just jump right inside the ship. It made it a lot more fun. We also had the kind of fun music that kind of brought us in, music that she's listening on the ship, and that was another thing, is finding music that gave, because part of what I wanted to do is give her personality. So we actually had like not only these little items that she's collected that are her like friends and postcards that are on the walls, and there's other stuff that's over here that we didn't never see. There's another like little robot thing down here. So she's got all kinds of like little toys and stuff. It was a way of creating a personality for her. And the music, there's music in here that she's playing like on a radio, and it's kind of fun music. So this all sets it up for liking this person right off the bat. So and then she gets the message, and she clicks on that, and we hear it playing back on the that's distorted, and then she goes to the planet. Now we're starting to see a lot of this stuff we didn't have in our previs, which is like the jet stream and all that fun stuff. And all this is like the kind of cool moody shot of the sun hitting her, but then it's also in shadow down here, things like that. That was we talked a little bit about the lighting before, but this is each shot that for each one of these to make it more impactful. And now you can see like the cool lens flares and the exhaust and all that stuff, and she lands. This is another angle that was kind of a cool like way of like when she lands, it's like the cooling off the ship, and then it's the ship AGS 55 pointing towards the drone. So this is another composition and shot that I felt was important that we didn't have in our previous, but that was again the story. When you start to figure out what the story is and what you're missing, it's easy to go in and just add it into the edit. Here's that shot again with the little creature. Each one of these, you can see all this is all the stuff we talked about with the lighting and everything. It all came together. And our edit, became very tight. It was really efficient for the most part. There wasn't, trying not to waste time and shots on things that didn't help basically move the story forward. And there was originally like we had her like she kind of walks into frame here, but then she looks down, but she doesn't pick up anything. We just thought, well, that's a waste. So there's just and then there's these effects here, like intensifying them, all that stuff started, come together. And so the final product, was just adding it, like even the previews that we saw before, it was all done in here. And what I would do is I would continue to enhance the previews. I would continue to add to this, to fill this in with the shots that, and cut out the stuff that wasn't necessary. And it made it really fast and easy. And it's definitely, for me, it's fun because it felt organic, and sometimes it's nice to get out of the one area that you've been in for so long. Even though I love Unreal, it's hard to say that. I look at when it comes to editing, it's kind of like its own thing. So I don't mind like leaving that just because I know also I'm not going to mess up something. The thing is that I always had fears doing editing in the sequencer is like messing up a shot and how it impacts everything else. So in editing, this is just, it's like everything else that I talked about through this entire course I'm just giving you, like, again, the overview of my methods in this process, and every aspect of every part of what I create and what I move forward as a director, as a designer, as an artist, is I look at reference. What inspires me when I see from films that I love? What is it about that shot, or the way it was edited, or the way it was lit, or the way everything came together? So editing falls into that same category. Every part of making a movie is understanding each component, and I feel like as long as I've been in the industry, I can always learn more. So, and part of it too is showing people a product that's before it's finished, to get there's eyes on it, and be open-minded about what people think. Like with the edit, with the story, does it feel? Sometimes you can be so close to something that that you don't care about what anyone says. So I just think it's good to hear out people, because you take the good stuff from that, what they saw that they didn't get, that you may actually say, oh, that's my intention is to do this, or this is a story, and you go, well, I didn't get it. And then you ask, like, why didn't you get it? What was it that didn't make sense to you in that cut or whatever? And then if it makes sense, then you go, oh, now I know how I can fix it. So I think it's always a good idea to, when you're making a story, it doesn't matter how advanced you are, listening around you to other people's opinions and ideas. Not that you have to change anything, but it'll at least give you another alternative, or another person's opinion that you may not have thought of, that you can apply. So again, I'm not giving a lot of this entire course, as you notice, is more my theory of filmmaking, my methods of using the tools, the purpose. But I'm not going through and showing you what all the tools do. If you like Premiere here, it's like I'm not going to show you how to use Premiere. If you want to learn it, like, there's courses online for free. You can just Google. That's how I learned everything. It's just Google stuff. Any software. That's how I learned Unreal. I just opened it up one day and said, okay, how do you save? Let me Google that. Same with this Premiere. It's like it's not as complex as an Unreal Engine, but there's a complexity enough to where it's like, if you've never edited in a program like this, and you do need to do a little research. So again, I'm wasting my time talking about that, but I want you to know that the goals in this course have just really been about the methods of how I was able to make the Calanthek tell a story and write in Unreal, and the different things I think about as I'm moving forward with it, without giving you, again, like here's what all the tools do. There's that would be a waste of yours and my time. Okay, so enough of that, and let's just get to, the thing that when we got into the edit and really started to mess with this, I realized, we had so many different ways we were going to end, her basic life, here, is by showing the creature. But we decided not to. I think that's what's kind of cool about this is we hear it. We saw like a glimpse of it in the recording. We've seen the creature before. We know it's still around. So, but when she turns around, we hear it, and then it just basically, cuts to black. I think it's something kind of cool. And then we had our credits, 30 seconds. That's what we were given. So the editing, again, I know I'm not giving you like a lessons on editing. It's more, this is just the tools I used. The thinking behind it is again, it's putting it together in its roughest state and keep continuing to massage it as you go. All right, so one other component to editing is the music and sound. It's a very important part that kind of pushes the story forward. That was this right here. What we're seeing is more the final, which is a combination of my sound designer and my composer. And we actually used my composer, John O'Hare, wrote the music, the score, and we ended up using an actual orchestra in Budapest. So this is some of the Zoom. It's kind of exciting. So this is like, not everybody's going to have the luxury to be able to do this. We had a little bit of extra money. I thought, well, it's going to make such a difference if it's a real orchestra doing the music. And he wrote it all. Let me just, so John O'Hare ended up writing the score. So what he did first, so it's not that, everybody has the luxury and has, a composer to be able to help with this. But it was important for me and my story to be able to have, and my short to be able to have it feel as cinematic as possible. And I felt an orchestra was the right way to go. John O'Hare is like a very talented composer. We worked together before, we'll continue in the future. But so he wrote the score. He first mocked it up on the, kind of the theme synthesizer that had like the direction, that I felt was going in a really good direction, then turned that into an actual written score that we ended up having an orchestra in Budapest. Playing. This was like live at that time, and it was so exciting. It was just so exciting to see all this, and especially after the phase of editing, and getting the entire thing to where I felt like, okay, we're so close now. Let's finish it off with the sound design, the music, and that really pushes the final touches on the edit to get it to those the realism, the cinematic.
Preliminary survey indicates D-2875 impacted something while scanning the planet Calanthek for terraform.
And, and also obviously doing voiceover. That was Vivian. She's the writer that helped me write the story. She also did the voice. So, all of this kind of helps come together. So how do you, so even when I started, I, didn't have all these components. So when I start roughing in sound design, I was able to get voiceover. I asked her, hey, could you just do something, throw it in? But then this is before we actually had the composer, the music, the orchestra, and all that stuff. I would get temps from John O'Hare and throw that in. And sound design, before that was done, I would end up using a lot of both for some of the music and the sound, I would go to Artlist, and that's a great resource. So Artlist is a resource. And Artlist. So all these things are great for, like, you may not have the luxury to be able to have an orchestra or sound designer, but I've been able to do stuff through here. So Artlist is a great resource. You just sign up for it. It doesn't really cost that much, but it has all these great sound effects, and they're really high end. I mean, it's amazing. And then you have music, so you can type in anything like cinematic. So it's like I already have, like, some of my stuff that it has in here already for, like, some of the music, like various things that I've collected for different projects. Sound effects, it's great. You can just type in anything, crash, whatever. And you just download it as a WAV or AAC, and I put it into my edit. And that's that's a quick way you get these. Again, I'm all about, like, where can you find stuff that's like the marketplace for Unreal, sound from Artlist, or there's other. Artlist is one I use. There's so many others, but it's what I use for both music and sound design. And then finalizing this, all the sound and music was that's a big effort, because I really wanted to. It's hard to find music that flows and gives you all the different ups and downs. So for me, I had to have this written music for this to work.
My ship crashed into a drone. I'm in a cave. There's a hostile creature in here with me. I don't know where it is. I'm sending coordinates. Please, hurry.
Receiving coordinates now.
No.
So cool. So that's basically an overview of the process. It's again, it's not in complete detail of how I use the tool or all the ins and outs, but it gives you an insight of how I created the Calanthek, and the editing process is there's you can see my work here is like stacking things on. It's interesting too. You look at this. Down here is like this stuff down here was the earlier stuff. The stuff up here as it goes up higher is the later stuff. So if we just even peel this back, I can hide some of this stuff to see what's underneath that. So you can see all the different stages of, that's where it was. So you really start to see, like, even the early previs, like, what was it when it started? And slowly started to get fleshed out. So, and I'll keep those layers in occasionally, like when I'm working. It's not necessary all the time. You can see here I flattened them out, but every one of these had its own stacked layer of different renders of different versions. That was just a small lighting thing there, obviously. You can see that was earlier days. So again, like with the editing, it's fudging, it's finding that moment, and the sound helps that. So when you're actually editing, sometimes I'll mock in some sound just so I can tell us that the right amount of time for this to build. So sound is also and music is a good part of knowing when to cut. So using that as a place to help you cut is not a bad direction to go. That's kind of, in a lot of ways, the method I use. It's not just, doing it silent. It's putting in even temp as you go. All right, well, hopefully this has been helpful for you as far as, editing and let's kind of sum everything up in the next chapter.